Biostatistics students, and welcome to your tutorial on skewness and kurtosis using SPSS. This is your lab instructor, Natasha. Imagine the Valley Bike Electric Bike Company is interested in how far community members travel on bikes they unlock from the hub at Mount Holyoke College. They assume these bikes are used for quick trips to the local Big Y, but they aren't sure if they are all used for short trips. Let's help Valley Bike determine whether the bike mileage from the South Hadley hub is normally distributed. First, we need to go to Analyze, down to Descriptive Statistics, and over to Frequencies. Let's put miles into the variables box and click on Statistics. Now we can click on Skewness and Kurtosis and click Continue. We can click on Charts and click on Histograms and also Show Normal Curve on Histogram and Continue. Now we can paste to open the syntax window, and here is the syntax we need to run. So we can highlight it and push the green arrow. Now we get an output window. This tells us that there were 50 different bike rides that they looked at. It gives us the skewness and the standard error of skewness. So remember, to estimate skewness, we need to divide the skewness value by the standard error of skewness. If the ratio is larger than 1.96, we say that the value is statistically significant at the 0.05 level. So in this case, we need to divide 2.725 by 0.337. Which ends up being about 8.09. So we can say that this number is larger than the value of 1.96. So we can say that the variable of miles is skewed. So let's now go back and look at the histogram. We can see here that it does look like a skewed distribution. It looks like there are a lot of bike riders who really are riding the bike short distances, possibly to the grocery store and back. But there are those folks that ride the bikes much further, and they're pulling the tail to the right. So this is a positively skewed distribution. Okay, so let's say we show these results to Valley Bike and they say, well, maybe those people who rode farther than the grocery store are just biking fanatics. And we think really just with those exceptions, everyone's really using the bike just to ride to Big Y. Are all of the bikers who rode further to Big Y and back outliers? There are a couple ways to use SPSS to look for outliers. First, let's go to Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, and Descriptives. Let's move the variable of miles over to the variable box. And then we can click on Save Standardized Values as Variables and hit Paste. Now, if we go back to our syntax, we can run what we just did, saving the values as z-scores and hit the green arrow button. Now, if we go back to our data set in the data view, we see that there's actually z-scores populated now for each of the values for each participant. So we can go ahead, and since this is a pretty small data set of just 50 bike rides, we can look to see whether any of these values in the z-score column are less than negative 1.96 or greater than 1.96. So scanning down, we can see that none of these so far are. We'll keep going. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Participant number 43 rode 51 miles, and we can see that this number here, 2.25, is greater than 1.96. So participant number 43 could be considered an outlier. And finishing up, scrolling down. Oh, we can also see that participant number 48, who rode 91.2 miles, has a z-score of 4.71. And that would also be considered an outlier, again, because that value is above 1.96. So that's one way to look for outliers. And then we can also go back and use visualization to see another way to use outliers. So to do this, we'd go to Analyze, down to Descriptive Statistics again, and this time to explore. In this box, we can put the variable of miles into the dependent list box. And now we can click on plots. We want to make sure that factor levels together is checked, but we can unclick the under descriptive, the stem and leaf. Next, we can click continue. Then where it says display, we'll want to make sure that plots is checked, and we can hit paste. Now we can go back to our syntax window and run the syntax to create the box and whiskers plot. And here we go. Here's our box and whiskers plot. And so this is showing us, again, just quickly looking at it, we can see that the same two participants, number 43 and 48, are marked as outliers in this box and whiskers plot. So that's another way to use SPSS to look for outliers. And we can see that the results were consistent using either method. So if we go back up to that original histogram that we plotted, we can see that there are a lot of people besides participants number 43 and 48 who rode more than about the 10 miles or so it would take to get to the store and back. So you might want to advise Valley Bike to tune up their bikes more regularly at the Mount Holyoke Hub to account for all of this higher mileage. Good luck on your lab. And as always, remember, don't be mean, be above average.